We are live, live, and live. Welcome back to Kayak Bass Fishing Live tonight. My name is JT Hickman. With me is the one, the only Chad Hoover, Mr. Kayak Bass Fishing. Chad, here we are. Can you believe it? It's December, a few days before Christmas, and another successful Catch22 challenge season. Man, closing 8 days, 9 days. We're running out of time.
Yeah, so we still got some time to get your fish entered for 24. We are up over 31,000 entries, which is insanity. You know, considering that last year we had 600 entries, this year we had 522. We had more re-entries this year, so I think total tickets we ended up about the same.
Yep.
But we had a little over 22,000 last year, 31,000 this year.
Just blowing it out of the water.
So the 2025 event is already up. If you could go ahead and enter now, so we can start to shop that to sponsors. I've already got significant commitments from Lowrance, Yak Attack, Rogue, and Big Adventures for next year's Catch22. We're going to do the Unlimited a little different next year. We're going to run the Unlimited Challenge, where there's a year-long challenge. Each month is going to be a drawing for prizes. Each month, Unlimited leaderboard will feed an overall leaderboard, so we can see how many fish each person caught for the year.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to do it to where the kayak will be the giveaway at the end of the year, the New Canoe Unlimited. And then what I'll probably do is have that one, depending on how successful it is, where we add a little bit to that kayak, or just draw additional prizes in that Unlimited challenge. So just tweaking that formula a little bit. There'll be an Unlimited for each month, and then each one of those months will feed the Unlimited overall leaderboard, so you can kind of keep track of how many fish you caught for the year. If you think you want to beat Marty Hughes or join in on his 2025 for 2025, you can do that on both Tourney X, and you can do that on the Catch22 challenge on Fishing Chaos and Double Dip. So that way you've got the opportunity to win in both places. The Torquedo Top 10 next year, if you're already registered for the event, you don't have to re-register. One of the things that I'm going to start doing moving forward is just extend the dates of the tournament at the top, and then just add a new leaderboard for the new year. So that way you don't have to register again. There's no fee again. You know, it's a good way to take care of the anglers for less in-app fees. So basically, what we're going to do this year, though, for the top 10, the Torquedo Top 10, is we're going to give away one Torquedo for the top 10 biggest fish caught. And I'm probably going to put Dalton in a headlock and say, you can't win it again, because he's looking like he's tracking for number 2. But then we're going to do a Torquedo 1104 full-blown package for everybody that enters 10 fish. We're going to draw that at the end of the year. And then depending on the participation, I may just add another Torquedo drawing or prize packages in that Torquedo Top 10 throughout the middle of the year, just randomly. One of the things that we're doing this year is we're charging a $15 entry fee for it. But here's what that's going to go towards. It's going to go towards an overall biggest fish trophy. It's going to go to an overall biggest pair trophy, which is going to be the biggest pair of fish that you can catch of 2 different species: largemouth, smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass, smallmouth, spotted bass. That way the Florida giant chasers can't just go out and win it.
Yep.
So stay tuned for details on that. That biggest pair is probably going to be like a $20 entry fee for the whole year. And we're going to do some random drawings along the way, but it's going to be an opportunity for people to mix up and have to catch more than one species. So I'm still working with Fishing Chaos on figuring out how to set that up exactly, so we don't count all the wrong fish. And so as soon as I get that set up, I'll make an announcement for it.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
But the other thing that we're going to do is quarterly, we're going to pull down all of the entries. We're going to create a club thing, the 20-inch club, the 21-inch club, the 22-inch club, the 23-inch club, the 24-inch club, the 25-inch club. And we're going to do that for both largemouth and smallmouth initially. And then at the end of each quarter, we're going to create decals that match those accomplishments. And we're going to send those decals out in a package for everybody that's participating in the Torquedo Top 10. So that's what the entry fee is for. And that's designed to build kind of a recognition system for the folks that are out there that are fishing tournaments, but also for the folks that don't care about fishing tournaments, you know? So
Exactly. I found myself, kind of this off season. It's like, oh, I want to go do this and that and this and that. And then I realized I'm not going to be able to travel as much this year as I want to because work is going to be really busy. But that being said, Catch-22, you're in state stuff, you know, we're going to have plenty to keep us busy if you don't get around and travel all over the country. Your Catch-22 is going to get you there. Your monthly challenge series, which starts in January, make sure you get signed up. If you want to get on and get some early points, before while everybody else is sitting around waiting for the ice to melt, hop in your monthly state challenge. I already saw one signed up here in Indiana. My ass is like, not till February.
So I want to elaborate on that just a little bit. One, I've already had quite a few people reach out to me about doing regions. And so here's what I want to say to that. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, which is to do a few things really well. And when we get those dialed in and perfected, then we'll add stuff to it. And so what I'm going to start with is I'm going to build out state anglers of the year for the states that have been averaging over 10 people a month or had multiple months with over 10 anglers in it. And then I'm not just going to build them all out like in hopes that, like, I'm not building out a state angler of the year for Montana and I get nobody in Montana or Wyoming or something like that, right? And then as participation comes along, I'll add those state angler of the year series. So when you click on the tournament page, you'll see the state challenges. Right below that, you'll see Indiana angler of the year. You'll see Alabama angler of the year. They'll order based on participation, and I'll mix it up some. But once we get another year of participation numbers under our belt, hopefully the challenge series, comes back even stronger than last year. We can start to build our regions out, and we can even tweak them based on some data because we've got average catch sizes over 4 or 5 years now for the different states and things like that. And so we're going to work really hard on building out the regions. I'm going to be putting up a post to comment on in the members only page here in the next day or two with kind of like, what are your thoughts on regions, and a little bit of guidance, but not too much, just because I want to hear people's breakdowns. I've done this before. I've already got one round of it from the public group. I need another round of it from the private group, from the true, members only page.
Yep.
And then we'll start to consolidate that and then roll it out and play with it in 26, but gather the data this year. And then after that, we're going to bring some of the things that people have brought up over the years. For example, man, I'm not retired, so I can't fish every day. So it's hard for me to compete with a guy that can fish all month long. So we came out with this thing called the 5x5, which is 5 windows of 5 days throughout the month. You can only fish 5 days, but everybody's competing against everybody for that 5 days. So we're going to do 1 or 2 of those this year, probably maybe May and June, and just kind of see how they go and get the feedback. And then we'll make them relatively low barrier to entry, and then we'll build on that. And so, I'll be honest with you, man, I'm really excited about next year. And I feel like KBF is going to find its position in what the sport needs, kind of like we did in the beginning before there was a lot of tournaments.
Yep.
With Hobie going away, with, EKF and some of the other bigger kind of regional clubs going away, and then bass being really spread out, which is a good thing on paper. But then when you look at it, like Austin and I sit down and said, if we were going to be competitive for Angler of the Year, if we're going to go do this series, how much would it be in travel? So to go to all the events for us, even being really centrally located, it was just under 10,000 miles, And if you're located on one coast or the other, it's even worse than that. So we understand there's going to be less opportunities for your bigger event series. And so we want KBF to be able to kind of fill that gap. But I'm also excited about like the club series, the team kayak series with Gene and Mike. So we can piggyback on that by putting up just a small entry fee, 100% payout, some type of reward for the biggest pair you can catch that weekend, which is the biggest fish that each person from the team can catch. And so this is a good little crossover opportunity too. Since the team kayak series is on Tourney X, we'll put the biggest pair on Fishing Chaos. And then what you do is you've only got to enter 2 fish into Fishing Chaos, and you could do it at the end of the day, realistically. And it's just the 2 biggest fish for the teams that are fishing. And it just adds a whole nother thing to it And I really think we've got to bridge this gap of some of this, like, drawing our line in the sand. This is our flag. This is our flag. A lot of that's like crazy because there's opportunities in both locations, and there's opportunity. The more opportunities, the better for you to stack your potential to win or get recognition when you're already out there fishing. The fishing is the hardest part,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think people were going to be that excited about was the 48-hour sandbagging rule. I can't tell you how many texts I got. Probably pushing, knocking on the door of 200 texts. Now there was 4 or 5 out of that 200 that were like, "This is BS, man. I sometimes go on 3-day camping trips," and I'm like, "Well, you're going to have to enter your fish in 48 hours,
Yeah.
But there's no but. But there's no but. It's 48 hours. And it's kind of like one of them things in the military. You can thank your buddies, your F your buddies over thing, because too many people always waited to the end of the month and not thinking, that's being disrespectful to the people running the events. One, you're not getting them up on the leaderboard. You're not making it to where the judging is spread out over the month. You're not giving people a chance to challenge it. And the sooner you enter your fish, the more eyeballs that get on it before the event's over for it to be challenged, so that we have the most transparency and in the sport of kayak fishing for catch photo release. And so with the addition of the release video requirement and doing spot checks, the 48-hour submission rule, and then we're going to throw in some 5x5s at some point during this year and some weekend warriors. I mean, I'm super stoked about 2025.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But let's talk about what we're here for tonight. I got the list for the 22 winners of $100 Yak Attack gift certificate. You know what I'm saying? And $100 at Yak Attack will get you a pretty good swipe. It'll get you a pretty good poke at some stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You might need to add to it for some things, and you might have to get creative, but $100 is $100. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so I'm just going to run through the winners and name them all off, because I also have this on a spreadsheet. I will be emailing everybody that won, and I will also be emailing the mass group to tell everybody, in case they didn't see the live stream, who won the 22 winners for the Catch22 challenge, Catch22 Christmas last live stream, which is tonight, what we're doing right now. So without further ado,
yeah, like Michael said,
just going to
roll that new boat would be handy with the $100.
And I'll tell you this, I downloaded the tickets, and there was a good chance that people could have won more than $100.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't going to limit that. So if somebody legitimately won 2 $100 gift certificates, I was going to give it to them, because each entry was like a ticket for the drawing. And
yeah,
so
every fish you entered in the Catch22 season was basically a random ticket. And so, yeah, there was a chance that you could have, if you put up like 1,000 fish, you just increased your odds. That's why we tell everybody, upload every fish all season long. That's what makes it fun. And we're doing it for charity.
Yeah. And it levels the playing field for folks that don't live in a place where they can catch the biggest fish. And so
100%.
Ironically enough, with 522 people and 30,000 fish, we didn't have that happen. So it worked out that we ended up with 22 different winners. So I'm going to run through the winners right now. Our first winner is Arlie Minton. Arlie Minton, Minton. Second winner is Thomas White. Austin Carter. Evan Morganson. Michael Pano. Nathan Chalez. Tony Loney, which kind of made me chuckle a little bit, like Tony Loney. I thought those got misaligned, but that's the name. Philip Andrew, Ian Boyd, Zachary McCalley, that's McCalley, Odell Ruiz, and there's a couple of Odell Ruizes. This is the one with the middle name Hunter, Odell Hunter Ruiz. Sorry. Daniel Evans, Ron Godlewski, Daniel Rittler, Rittler, Craig Long, Sherry Lager, Leger, Amy Brown, Bill Lape, I think is how you say it, Lape. Mateus Rocca, Racca.
Was that our boy Rocca that fish
Yeah,
knuckle?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Eric Paraklis. So it's Peraksslis, Paraxlis, Eric Paraxlis. Tony popped in.
Tony Loney's in the house. Yep, they're very good. Congrats. Uh-oh. Did Chad freeze up? Oh, no.
Oh,
Don't do...
I lost you for a second. Am I back?
Okay. I think you're back. Yep.
Am I back? Okay. All right. Looks like the last two are Michael Hogan and John Long. John Long was actually
the
Team
John
Chad,
Long.
so kind of, yeah, the John Long. And John entered a lot of fish this year. So, yeah, those are your winners. Again, I'm going to email this out through just the group of people that fished in the Catch-22, so I don't spam all of the members of KBF.
Yep.
Don't forget that your national championship qualification is up on the list on the homepage. If you were in the top 25% of any state in the Catch-22 challenge, this is my announcement for tonight, you are also qualified for the national championship. I am not going to sit there and download each of these and add them to the qualified list because it'll take me a month. I am just letting you know as my Christmas gift to the Catch-22 competitors, if you're in the top 25%, and if you can't figure that out, then you're not qualified. If it's 100, you're in the top 25. Do it times 0.25 and figure it out. If it's a question, shoot me a text, and I'll answer it for you. But do the best you can to figure it out. And if you're qualified, if you're in the top 25% of any of the monthlies, the Black Bass monthlies, then you are also qualified for the KBFNC. I am going to draw a winner on Christmas Day for their entry fee back or that equivalent value in entry fees for 2025 on Christmas Day. So everybody that's entered into the national championship up to that point on Christmas Day, I'll be drawing a winner. And then don't forget that the price goes up $50. You know, it's not going up anything crazy, but it does go up $50 after December 31st. The reason for that is we need to start planning. Are we doing t-shirts? Are we doing qualification? You just made it to the NC stickers, trophies, the venue, meals, all of that stuff. The further out we order it, the cheaper it is. And so when you guys penalize me by making me wait to the end, I've got to bump the price up to compensate for it. So when you ask, why is that the case? Well, we can't wait until 3 weeks before the event or a month before the event to plan some of these things.
Yep.
So please get entered as early as you possibly can. And like I said, the entry fee will just go up $50 on January 1st, and then it doesn't go up again until March 1st. So
now tell them for those who may not have been paying attention about what's different about the NC this year. The entry fee went up a couple of bucks, but we've got some.
It's the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's cheaper because last year and every year before that, after December 31st, I moved it from 300 to 400. I went up 100
that's right.
on that day. So it's actually a little bit less. But the one thing that's different this year, actually, there's a couple things. We're doing $500 an hour. I am going to go into the page and put a little asterisk that says based on XX number of entries.
Yeah.
But I think around 150 entries, I did the math on it, which is our lowest national championship ever. There's $14,000 that are paid out before the final day. And so that'll come out of the entry fee. So we're basically going to do 500 per hour, day one, 500 per hour, day two. If you catch the biggest fish each day, it's an additional 500. So it'll make that fish worth $1,000. If you're the day one leader, it's $1,000. And then if you're the day two leader, it's another $1,000. And then the combined overall 2-day leader is $2,500. So this way you can make money along the way. It won't be limited. If you catch the biggest fish in hour 1 and hour 4, you'll make $1,000. If you catch 3 biggest fish that day, you may make, $1,500.
And if you're day one leader with the best 5 fish, that's $1,000. And then the day, is that right? Or we talking? Okay.
Yeah. And so in theory, if you're the day one leader and you get 1,000 and you caught 3 of the biggest fish that day, that's 1,500. There's 2,500. If one of those fish was also the biggest fish caught that day, it's another $500. But in theory, there's multiple winners that can win all of those. And it's going to be very hard to double dip, but you could. And then if you do really well on day one and really well on day two, like you did in the old days, and you're moving into the day three with a strong position, you're going to already have made money.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how many people have been on, the top of the leader day one or day two on day three and went home with no money after fishing strong. So this is going to reward hourly, participation, daily participation. We're going to cut to the 100. And probably every year since we started doing the 100 cut, I've had people come up to me and say, man, all I really wanted to do is make the 100. They got their 100 measuring board. They got their decals. They got their name on the leaderboard. But several people have been like, man, I'm in 70th place. I don't have a snowball's chance. My wife really let me take off a week to come down here. And so, man, as much as I appreciate it, the opportunity, I'm just going to head home. Well, that ain't going to be the case this year or next year, because after day two, the field is going to zero and everybody is going to have a chance to fish for the remaining share of the payouts for the top 100. I said in another live stream I was going to pay the top 10%. 15%. I'm actually going to back that up to top 10% again. And the reason why is you've already had a pretty good chance of winning money.
Yep.
Day one and day two, and I've already taken some money out of the entry fees. So I'm working on payout charts right now to make this all make sense. But we're going to do the best we can to balance it. The day one payouts, the day two payouts, cut the field to 100, and then we're going to pay the entry fees. We're going to put the remaining pot to pay the top 10% out in a pretty balanced decrement in the top 10 of the top 100, if that makes sense.
It's not confusing. Just go fish and catch big fish. Yeah. You can win money. That's really what it comes down to.
And it's all laid out on the page. If you go to the homepage of Kayak Bass Fishing, there's a banner that takes you to the registration page. Under the registration page, under the details, there's a link to the 2025 National Championship overview. You can go there and read that. If you still have some questions, you can shoot me a text, but it's written in like third grade crayon. Like I wrote it so even, Army and Marine guys could understand it. You know what I'm saying?
So now the Army guy will step in.
All right.
For those, KBF National Championship day one, hourly big bass of $500 throughout the whole tournament day. Same for day two. Your best 5 fish from day one, your best 5 fish from day two will put you, if you're in the top 100, you fish on day three, the scores reset, and then all 100 anglers go out with their catch boards this year. Go out with their catch boards from the event and fish for the big money at the end of the day three. So it's just that simple. You have a chance to win. You don't have to catch 5 fish. If you catch one $500 fish, you paid for your trip.
So on the day,
Huntersville, anything could happen. Ask the guy who caught a almost 7-pounder the week before Knucklehead.
Is for the Saturday when everybody else is fishing in the 100. If you came down and you didn't make the top 100, we're going to do a rebuy this time instead of just me throwing the money out there like I've done and got myself in trouble. We're going to do a rebuy. We're going to pay out the top 5. It's going to be like 40, 30, 20, 10. That's how we're going to pay it out, or whatever it is for 5 places. 100% payout based on the entry fee. And I'm thinking something like $50, nothing crazy.
Yep.
But it's going to be the KBF biggest pair. And so it's going to be the biggest 2 fish combination you could catch that day, not just 1 fish, because we've done the big bass in the past and it never fails. Somebody like Damon Henderson goes out and catches a 23-incher at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then everybody's like, oh man, you could catch a 23 and an 18, but a person with 2 20s could cause you problems. A 20 and a 21 could win it. You know what I mean? So it's going to be this thing we're calling the biggest pair. We're going to run it at other events across the season. I got Catch working on the trophy design right now, and we're going to run it for the Team Kayak Series. Let your mind run wild. We're going to run it for the Team Kayak Series where it's the biggest fish each member of the team catches. And then we're going to do it at the National Championship for the biggest 2 fish that each person can catch. So it's not based on a team. And then at the Challenge Series championship, after the field is cut to 10, we're going to have a 2-man team Hero Cup, and we're going to have the standard payout based on the entry fee. And then we're going to have the biggest pair will be the biggest fish caught from each team. There won't be a separate entry fee for it from that, but it'll just be a trophy to recognize the team that went out and caught the biggest 2 fish with the biggest fish from each team member. And there'll be 2 trophies, and it'll be the KBF biggest pair, and it'll be like one of them lockets. You know, them lockets where your half of your heart matches? So the trophy will come apart, so each half of the team gets
I like that's kind of cool, though. That's a good idea.
Half of the biggest pair trophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
might have to have a little bit of a custom base for it so it doesn't fall.
Oh no, it's gonna be how Catch does it. It's gonna lock together and be real slick.
I got you. All right, cool. That'd be slick. Yeah, that'd be nice. I can almost see that. I know what you. Yeah, cool, excellent.
Yeah, but other than that, man, I'm really going to do a lot of exploratory this year. A lot of question asking, a lot of data gathering. You know, we've established this board of directors now. You guys are holding me to the ground. Like, stop, make it profitable.
Yep. So real quick, cover who's on your new board, the KBF Board of Advisors. So
Marty Hughes has come on board as the kind of the patriarch, if you will, of the board, the papaw, you know, the wisest, you know, OG of the sport. So Marty Hughes is going to be the director, the board of directors, HMFIC. Okay.
Yep.
Yourself has come on board as the, you know, director of fish ops challenges and fish ops operations, basically director of operations for fish ops, specifically all of our charity or support based events.
Yep.
Jeff Little has come on board as the director for education and for advocacy.
Yep.
And so one of our first goals, one of the first things we're going to tackle, he called me about it. This is part of how this was born, to ask me to go over to Georgia and film this access issue with the Flint River, Ocmulgee, and a couple of other rivers where the landowners in Georgia are suing to get the law changed to prevent access to the rivers. And this has way more than impact in Georgia. If we let this precedent get set, you know, we could be screwed across the country and lose access. So we're creating a little small call to action brand, if you will, that we're going to do a little mini series under called Anglers for Access. And that's going to be a big part of what KBF does for advocacy, but put it under an umbrella, name it, and like lean into it for 2025 and beyond. And so that's Jeff Little, who's our director of education and advocacy. And then last, but definitely not least, on the advisory board for media communications and kind of managing how we communicate with our community, with the world, and what we communicate with our community and with the world is Mr. Hank Vegin. So Hank's been with us as a staff member, communications, you know, contractor for a while.
Yep.
This just pivots that role into an advisory role. And then we will all communicate as a group to, you know, this is an initiative we want to try. Who does it fall under the most? And then everybody else will kind of operate in a supporting role, bring in whatever skill set or expertise they have to help in that initiative, to evaluating whether or not we go forward with it. And if we do go forward with it, identifying all the things that need to be in place. Because, like, I'll be honest with you, I have been accused of this in the past by numerous people that I work with, and I will admit to it wholeheartedly. Quite a few times I am ready, shoot, aim. And I've got to get more, I've got to get better at, you know, ready, aim, then shoot. And, you know, aim includes a whole bunch of stuff, making sure that we've got all of our I's dotted, our T's crossed, and we put together a clean initiative before we put it out. And this year's a perfect example of that. For the last 6 weeks, I have been like off the water, sitting at this desk or at my other desk down in the office, cleaning pages up, rewriting stuff to make it everything is easy to understand, everything is clean, and nobody's confused, because I think we had information overload with KBF for a long time, and there were so many balls being juggled that one, some of them got dropped, and two, people are always going, what is all going on?
Yeah.
And so right now, if you go to the homepage of kayakbassfishing.com, it's everything that's a priority is on there with a link. If you click on the banner, it takes you to a description of what that is going to be. And if it's not on that homepage right now, we're not doing it.
Yep.
It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Once the national championship's over, that banner will flip to the Challenge Series Championship and the 10. But until then, that's our big event, the national championship. We're going to make it as much of a community event as we possibly can. And then once that event's over, that'll switch to the graphic for the Challenge Series Championship and the 10 at the end of the year. And the only other thing that we're introducing in 25 is not anything new. It's something we've been working on now for going on 4 years, which is the fish camp concept, where we're going to create some structure to it. The fish camp stands for Camaraderie and Mentoring Program. And I'm even going to run some fish camps in conjunction with some other series. Like, for example, I'm going to run a fish camp in conjunction with the Team Kayak Series kickoff on Lake Murray, because it's one of my favorite places to go. We're going to go there and do a fish camp. They're going to be doing the tournament. So you can come for the tournament and fish camp. You can come for the tournament or fish camp, or you can come for both. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fun. And there'll be more details to come on that. I'm working that out with the city and with Mike and Gene, and hopefully they mesh well. But I really feel like there's two different crowds that can be attracted to the two different ones. And so even if you don't want to fish hardcore, you don't want to get a teammate, you just want to learn a little bit about more about Lake Murray, or break bread with some fellow anglers, check out some rigging ideas, get on the water with no pressure in a different place and go learn something, then we'll be putting the details out for the fish camp that's going to run in conjunction with the Team Kayak Series here probably in the next 2 weeks.
Very cool. Very cool.
So other than that, we're going to try to stay focused. We're going to try to stay committed. I've got to get back to creating content at the level, the quality, and the frequency that we used to, because content and managing relationships with sponsors is what really pays the bills. And it's how I've been able to not take money out of the events for so long.
Yep.
And, 2025 is all going to be about balance. It's going to be about, in theory, I want to pay out 100% plus a percentage of all memberships, plus a percentage of all sponsors and all this crazy stuff. But what I've had to realize is it takes money to run KBF. It takes money to fulfill memberships. It takes money to provide customer service. It takes money to create the videos, to provide the sponsors a return on investment. And I got to balance all of that. So
yeah, some people don't realize too that there are actually employees of KBF that handle the stuff in the background and do, your. So that reminds me, while I'm thinking about it, let me go back to the starred comments, because first question that was asked, wishing those KBF caps were still available, and these are hard to get a hold of these days. So something to keep in mind. And we've also talked about Fish Ops merch as well.
One of the things that I told you guys is if it's on the homepage of the website, it's a priority. And if you look at the KBF homepage right now, the top banner on there is Shop KBF. That links to the store that we have. So if you could go support KBF by buying some merch that's on there. Right now, it's through a company called Fourth Wall, where it's print on demand, where we don't have to carry a bunch of inventory. But my goal is to build out a store that then allows us to carry merchandise so that we can make a little bit more off of it, offer it at a better price, and we don't have to do silly stuff like $5 for shipping on a $5 sticker. And that's not us. That's part of that partnership where I don't have the ability to control that. As we build the store back and we put in some shelves at the HQ and Lynette takes over some of it and we balance it, we'll be able to get back to the store the way it used to be. Really cool hats, really cool shirts, really cool stickers. And so that is a priority. That is why is it at the top of the web page. And I've actually talked about 5 different vendors, one of them being, a longtime KBF member, because I'd like to do as best I can, keeping the business. I call everybody the KBF mob, and the mob stands for members only benefits. Well, it also stands for member owned businesses. Yep. So I'm trying to keep a lot of that merchandise creation business within a KBF owned business, instead of just looking for the cheapest place that I can find it. And so it'll take a little bit longer, but the sooner that I can get that established, the better. And everybody being able to wave the flag for the fact that they love kayak bass fishing, not just the brand, but like the community, the better. Because every time I'm at a store or something and I have something KBF on, people say something to me about it, or if I've, you know, like I get recognized obviously from TV and YouTube, but I'll try to like downplay it, like where I don't look like I'm a fisherman. And then they're like, I'm like, just out of curiosity, how did you recognize me? And they're like, well, I'll be honest, it's your voice. That's one. And then the other one is like, you got this tattoo on your forearm, stupid. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's just like, I remember the last few years that I was in the Navy, and we went to the camis, the blue camis with like the better tapes on it with the names. And I remember this young girl came into my office, and I was like, all right, well, Petty Officer Miller, you have a great day. You can get out of here now, blah, blah, blah. And she was like froze. And I was like, what? And she's like, how did you know my name, sir? I'm like, it's on your uniform. You know what I mean? So this is the same thing. A lot of times people recognize me and then they go, I was waiting until I could see the tattoo. But that's what I want to build. I want to build the community part of this. I want to build that break bread, the sit around the campfire, the go fishing, come back and tell stories about all the fish we caught. Maybe have a leaderboard on Fishing Chaos or Tourney X or both, or maybe not. Maybe just go damn fishing and show pictures to each other. Post it. Maybe we make a Facebook thread. You know how much it costs for everybody to post on a Facebook thread? Zero. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So anyway, I want to do more fun, engaging stuff. More kayak fishing 101, more like rigging clinics and stuff where we all get together. So yeah,
Liz says she's going to accept a new position as well. Now, this is the last comment we had that I had starred. Keep in mind, this is going back to, and this is for the person who asked it. This is going to be a year for KBF of keeping it simple. So while I know there'll be some disappointment, you know, for this year, everything that we do has got to be simple, simple, simple.
Let me answer that question though.
Yep.
Knucklehead was born by accident. I said Knucklehead in a video. Some clown chimed in and said, I can't believe he calls his fans knuckleheads. I was at ICAST. I wasn't checking the comments for a while. By the time I checked on it, there's like 200 responses. I'm a knucklehead. I'm a knucklehead. He's a knucklehead too. He's talking. It's a term of endearment. You don't understand. And so that name was born of a sense of community. So though there won't be the same Knucklehead series next year where I try to overcomplicate it with all these different captains in 4 months, all the fish camp events will be Knucklehead events. That's what it'll be, part of that family. And the biggest pair events at the National Championship and the biggest pair Hero Cup will also be, those will be Knucklehead events. They'll be under the guise of being a Knucklehead. Low barrier to entry, focus on fun, prizes and cash. And that'll be, so though we're not doing the Knucklehead the same way, there will be Knucklehead stuff up to and including the Knucklehead merch. So head over to the store and grab yourself some Knucklehead merch.
Get you a Knucklehead hat. Yep.
I mean, I'll be honest, bro. Like, I've never worn any apparel for anything I've ever done. We got more comments than when I have the Knucklehead shirt on, because people will look over and they'll see it and they'll kind of chuckle, Knucklehead, and they just say it. They don't even. They're like Knucklehead. It's like almost like a head nod, you know? And so, yeah, there'll be Knucklehead stuff. There'll be Knucklehead fun. Just not the same like Knucklehead series that there was before.
Yep, exactly. So with that said, here we are at the end of another season. And folks, again, continue to upload your fish if you still haven't yet. And if you're someplace, you know, down south, Liz, where fish are still being caught and the rest of us are up here living vicariously through you, please continue to post, share pics, and keep uploading, because that'll just give us another number to beat next year, because we're going to have some work cut out for us next year.
And, you know, just like we've talked about, JT, every year more sponsors agree to give more stuff that I don't have to buy out of that 50%.
Yep.
So hopefully year over year for the next 4 or 5 years, this thing turns into, I'd love us to get to the point where we're giving away like $100,000, you know, for worth of prizes for a freaking $22 entry fee tournament. You know what I mean? How freaking awesome would that be? So, and then at the same time,
keep raising money for Heroes on the Water.
and at the same time, double what we're able to give every single year, double the number of lives we're able to save, double the number of impacts we're able to make. And we're even kind of evolving at what we're doing at Heroes on the Water. Like everything doesn't have to be about on the water. Let's do some off the water clinics and knot tying, get togethers and casting get togethers and all these things to where it builds that camaraderie. Get around a fishing spot, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. You know what I mean? It could just be a simple 4 or 5 guys getting together and going over knots.
Yep. And guarantee you, folks, next year will be the year that Chad gets Starlink, so we don't have to worry about him stuttering in the lives.
Early next year.
There we go. You know a guy who knows a guy. Let's go.
All right, man. Well, listen, y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if you celebrate some other holiday, I'm not being, non-inclusive. Happy holidays to you for that as well. And I will see you guys somewhere in 2025.
Let's go.